Hello, people. It's me again, Zara Punky over here, and yeah, finally Sony is doing some additional crossplay because they already had crossplay. Um, I talked about this with two of my friends, Karu and Kotaru, uh, back I think it was 2 months ago, if I'm not mistaken. Sony was really, since they're the top dogs, they actually went into this uh, damage control or bias thing that, they just did not want to crossplay with their current competition. So, what happened is that most of the fan base and some developers, companies, they were actually pushing this, and I think Sony felt a little bit of pressure over there. I mean, from both sides, and maybe from inside Sony too, because they were thinking about it over and over. I mean, let's be real here. Uh, Sony sometimes they just they might do some stuff that seems anti-consumer, but at the same time I always think about uh, business. As Sony, grows business wise, is more based on uh, since they are the number one in this generation, and one of the reasons why they acted like this is because of that. I mean, I don't actually blame them, but this kind of actions that they have been doing uh, uh for months, well, it just backfired to them. So this is not a lesson they learned. This is in process of learning how to hear and what to do uh, when you're number one. So it taught everyone a lesson right there, including Sony. So basically, I know this is gonna sound like, okay, dude, what are you trying to say here? Sony, sometimes they just want to win more money, and that's okay. I know it's okay, but sometimes you think, man, but I'm paying for the PlayStation Plus. I pay $60 freaking. I right now they fixed the PlayStation Now, which is a lot better than before. Uh, but yeah, it's a little bit expensive when you actually are a Sony customer, right? I'm a Sony customer, such as an Xbox customer and Nintendo, and a Steam customer. I have all platforms, including PC. So all this crossplay thing did not affect me as much. But once I wanted to play on PC, since PC is the universal way of doing crossplay, I can back 2 months ago I could play with the PlayStation guys, the Nintendo and the Xbox. The problem was that if there was an Xbox or Nintendo in my party, Sony a Sony gamer from the PlayStation could not join my party. Xbox and Nintendo may have to like get out of my party in order for the PlayStation gamer uh, can get access and get in my party. So that was kind of annoying. And the other thing was, my saves from Fortnite. starting all over. Fortnite is a grindy game. It's hard to get good there. It's mostly difficult to just like start all over. And sometimes I think, okay, man, Sony, at least the saves, just be more considerate. Think about the others, and sometimes when you're number one, you think about staying number one, and that's what Sony actually did this week. They said we're number one, so we need to show them that we're number one, and that's what they did. And I like that the change from Sony from being no Sony PlayStation is the best best way to play Fortnite, the best place to play Fortnite. In which, okay, I get what you actually mean, because that's what you're supposed to say if you are a a Sony president or Sony developer or Sony whatever the case may be. And yeah, that's for me, that was okay for them. But for us, it was kind of like, okay, Sony, I know what you're trying to do, but at the same time, you're still number one. What could affect you in sales for your console? Here comes my explanation for that. Yes, it will affect the sales. People may say, no, dude, it won't. Right. So let me explain here. It will affect in sales, but not as much as they will think, not as much as we feel like it. I mean, let's just say, for example, now we're free from crossover. Fortnite is one of the most popular games, most popular multiplayer games, and for people to play or choose to play, let's just say it like that, choose to play, they might think, well, I can buy the Nintendo Switch and I can play with everybody. I can buy the PlayStation and I can play with everybody. I can buy the Xbox and I can play with everybody, etc., etc., etc. All right? And those sales aren't going to be as consistent. Is the example I, brought you right now. They have the choice to make it that way. Us consumers, we have the choice to to choose, and whether we want the PlayStation, Xbox, or Nintendo. And Sony has no control of that anymore, since crossplay is available everywhere. Not for every game, for certain games, and I hope it stays for certain games, not all games. A lot of people may think that, yeah, make it for all games. That's not healthy either. Let me explain to you how can this affect sales from any company by doing crossplay. And yes, I know what you're going to say. Yeah, but Epic Games does crossplay and they don't have a problem and they don't go bankrupt. Guys, they own an engine. Remember that. And they have they have other games that they sell. But Fortnite is not the only one. And And I think that Fortnite, even with microtransactions, Epic Games still wins money. And I think more than Sony. They won't say that because I know, Sony is it's holding a console, is holding a whole company such as Xbox. You know, Microsoft is, barely surviving with no exclusives in the other hand. And Nintendo is actually, I don't know, they're just in between. Yes. I'm hearing the song right now. Anyways, so there is this saying that everybody has been about do every game crossplay. And as I said, it's not as easy as it looks because it's easy to just do crossplay. Let me rephrase that. It's easy. It's like an on switch and an off. It is that simple. But the thing is, these companies want you to buy multiple copies from their games. Let's just say, for example, Bandai, Namco Bandai. They release a new Naruto game. Let's just say Naruto Shinobi Striker, Naruto to Boruto Shinobi Striker, and there's a thing. There's a version for Xbox. I think it's on PC and PlayStation. PC, maybe. I haven't checked. So, how would they actually think about this? If they do crossplay on every platform, they will lose sales anyways. Because there's a lot of people, hey, do you play on PlayStation or PC? I play on PC. Well, let's just buy it on PC. More copies on PC. PlayStation says it's the number one. People has a PlayStation. And it's the Japanese console. Most of it, Japanese and Japan have the PlayStation, so they just going to play Naruto Shinobi Striker on the PlayStation. There's more sales on the PlayStation. So what happens if that has crossplay? Then most of those copies, wouldn't be that big. The amount of copies that they actually went into stores, one will be, bigger than the other. One will sell more than the other platform. And that's maybe always. But there is a difference between, the numbers. It's not okay when the Xbox is, has this problem of, having no freaking games, and like the sales won't go up on the Xbox side. So what's the point of doing multiple copies if they're just going to be selling in one platform or in two, when I made copies for 3 platforms, right? So yeah, that's one of the problems. I'm not against crossplay. Don't get me wrong, I'm not against crossplay. But I do believe that these companies need to survive by selling a lot of multiple copies in each platform. Okay? There's a lot of people that they're going to dislike this video and say, dude, you don't know what you're saying. Then all these, these companies still need to survive to make multiple copies and make a profit out of it. I mean, they need something for the company to survive, right? So let's not be so selfish in a way, because these companies actually struggle sometimes in terms of money, even though I know microtransactions. And I did a video. You go check on that. I talk about the microtransactions, and but yeah, it's on to them. Uh, but if we push, just like we push the crossplay on Sony, would it be very healthy for every company? I mean, there's other companies that don't hold all, consoles like Microsoft, Nintendo, and Sony, which they have a big responsibility to to sell a hardware. Unlike Square Enix, Bandai, as I mentioned, Epic Games. Um, well, Epic Games in a way, because they hold a really hardcore software, which is the Unreal Engine 4. So, so that's that. I mean, about the crossplay thing, it worries me a bit, cause we're entering in an era of, the competition used to be so good, but then these companies are like friendly, and I'm not used to it. I'm used to them, being very competitive, being on, hand-to-hand combat, as I always say. And yeah, that's basically what I actually want from companies. But they still are today. Don't get me wrong. Uh, they're still very competitive with each other. It's just this game that just crossplay, and it comes together, and they're goody goody with each other for now. But that all depends on the game. That all depends on the sale. All depends on the developers. All depends on the consumer, right? And yeah, I think my thoughts for Sony opening up a crossplay is still a good idea. I mentioned in previous podcasts, it will, for me it will be the same. Even though they're the top dogs, they're number one. You know, uh, I still support Sony. I still support Microsoft and Nintendo at the same time. Of course, all these companies, they're not perfect. They sometimes say stupid stuff, and they end up fixing it at the end. Some of them aren't stupid. They're more rational when, time comes. But, and I hope Sony doesn't pull off the, oh yeah, this is the amount of sales from 2018, and this is the amount of sales of 2019, and this is all because of crossplay. Sony, don't do that. Is I know they just want to at least justify blaming crossplay for their sales. Like any company will actually blame something for the lack of, sales of their consoles, games, or whatever the case may be. There will be drops, sale drops from Sony. It won't be the same. Because allowing crossplay to certain games is okay, but not all of the games. So we have to be careful what we wish for, us consumers. All right. And I'm not, telling you what to do. You do, you think what you think. You do what you do, and I respect your decision. But making a company bankrupt because of our decision, of our wishes, then yeah, dude, it's our fault, and we had to take it. And these kinds of things, puts into my thinking, analyzing in every way. So basically, all I can say is that crossplay at least for free games, not games that you have to buy yet, because that's another thing. I mean, I don't think Activision will do a crossplay ever. They just want to sell more copies. EA, that's another one. Yeah, EA, they want a lot of money, so they won't do crossplay unless they have a change of heart and do what they must. Other company that is very well, Bethesda. Oh my gosh, Bethesda. Oh my. I remember Bethesda aiming at Sony of, no crossplay and all that. But then a few days later they told us some other kind of story of why they won't do crossplay with that certain game. I think it was Fallout 76, and yeah, they I don't know. Like I'm telling you guys, it's weird when companies say something and point out at Sony. Now that Sony's doing it, then what else to point at? Cause all this, developers from Bethesda pointing at Sony not doing crossplay, but then a few days later, they kind of like cover themselves up not doing crossplay for certain games from Bethesda, right? So I'm like, okay, so what was the whole deal with pushing Sony doing crossplay then, if you weren't going to do it with your games? You know what I mean? I mean, Epic Games. I have not heard no one from Epic Games complaining about Sony's non-crossplay with Xbox and Nintendo. Or maybe I missed it, I don't know, but they stood silence with with all this debacle, and and those were the first ones to just aim at Sony because it was their game, right? Yeah, something is fishy in there, even though it is a good thing for us, but at the same time, these companies, like I said, they need to get that company afloat, get that money going, get that money fluid of growing up with the no, hold on. There's this thing about the money, and I hate money. Yes, I do it. I do hate money. I don't like it. But you survive with it, right? So that is the mentality that I want to put you guys into. It's not easy either, because sometimes we think, yeah, these companies are greedy, they just want more from us, and that's obviously from Activision and EA and some other companies too. Let's get that clear. But at the same time, we need to think that, hey, if they are surviving with those kind of anti-consumer stuff, hey, we don't know what's happening behind all these companies either, and we're like here complaining about, hey, what's up with those microtransactions? Hey, why there no crossplay? Hey, why there's no this and that? Yeah, we need to be careful, us gamers, because back in the day, the internet wasn't a thing. Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Reddit, None of that. None of that existed. Well, it existed, but it's not. It was not used as it's used today. So yeah, there's a difference between me back in the days receiving a game, and if it was shit, then it was shit. If it was good, it was good. No complaining about it. Now today, we see a bad trailer from a game, and we trash on it. We want what we want. We ask what we want, and they actually delay the game, cancel the game, whatever the case may be. And I'm jumping topics here, but I want you to understand what are we doing and what are we complaining. And we have to be I'm very careful with that too, because maybe I can complain about let's just say the EA with Battlefield 5, the accuracy for, you know, the story. Right now they delay the game, and I don't know how that game is going to end up, and that worries me a lot because of those I'm not going to say lousy complaints, because people may have the rights to say it, but they don't have the how should I say it clearly without offending anyone. Let's just forget that one. So there is this thing, you know, that we need to be very cautious on what we say, because maybe right now DICE, EA will change this game forever. Maybe not much as that I'm thinking right now, but yeah, it is that really. It's a pain to see something that is canceled, something that is changed, and complaining about something that is, dude, it's just a video game. Why would you want it like historically accurate? I mean, you have a point there, but at the end of the day, it's just a game. A lot of people will dislike. A lot of people will tell me I'm wrong. Hey, dude, if you are getting offended by this commentary, leave, alright? Because this commentary ain't for you either. And I'm being really honest. I'm really being straight up. Because complaining for something stupid could change a video game. It could change even the company perspective. It could change anything because of our wishes and our decisions to say and use the power of the internet the wrong way. Well, I guess this is it, guys. Another 30-minute video, commentary, podcast. Zarapunky and Friends podcast. I wish my friends were here too, but they're busy doing other stuff. And I thank you guys for watching. Please stay tuned for a lot to come. There's a lot that I have in mind. And yeah, guys, please don't forget to rate, comment, and subscribe. Thank you for supporting the channel. This has been Zarapunky, and I'll see you guys later.